Hi, and welcome to another Cast of a Dawnward Retribution game. My name is Celery. I'll be taking you through the game. It should be an exciting one. We have a 3 vs 3 with some higher ranked players. So it looks like we're about to be loaded up. Arden Self is an interesting map in that you definitely have a few areas where you have these kind of points where it's definitely going to choke off some of the ability of the enemy to move around, things like suppression squads. Looks like we have some chat already going on. So, looks like they're talking a little bit about, some of the locations. Some of these players are most likely from Japan, especially considering the fact that their name starts with a common abbreviation. And then, looks like we also have just your standard capping going on. Get that out of the way. So nothing too exciting in the first few seconds. We'll talk about the races a little bit. Looks like we have a couple imp players, and we have an Eldar player in the mid. For our left top team, for the bottom right team, we have Space Marines, Imperial Guard, and Chaos Space Marines. So we'll see if we're going to have some engagements up top. Oh, interesting, right here we already have a multi-laser turn built. That's going to be very good for helping defend this area of the map. It's going to make it very difficult for any of these enemy units to push into this area early. And now that he's throwing down a second one, it's very likely that they're going to be trying to build up this power node and just hold on to it. As we see here, we do have a few units running past. They're looking to come snipe this power node. Probably a good idea. They may not actually realize quite yet that there was such a build-up in the middle here, but it's definitely going to help prevent that from stopping them from capping by having moved up top so well. Looks like we already have some upgrades on the Lord General. Basically this grenade launcher upgrade gives them the ability to kind of siege units early on, attack from very far away. Definitely a interesting but also a good choice to throw the Chaos Space Marines into melee. That's where they're going to be more effective than any of the guardsman units. Come back down here, we see that it does look like the Howling Banshees did lose so far only a model, and they're down to about a 1/6 of their normal health. They're down 2 models now, but not too bad. A little bit of luck there. We do have the enemy having built his own multi-laser turret, and that Commissar Lord just barely surviving. That was a little bit lucky. He's definitely going to be careful because this Lord General is definitely gunning for him. And you see he retreats out of there. Probably have some action going on down south, and we do. We get the Chaos Heretics. They're basically doing their ability, which buffs any of their nearby allies. They sing a chant, and where this Chaos Space Marine player is using the Chaos Lord, it basically just gives all of his units a damage and move speed buff. You see that Sentinel just got off his stomp. That stomp's going to allow him to slow down the movement speed of all these other units and really prevent them from getting too close to the Sentinel or their other units. You see this Chaos Lord already has his Flamer. Flamers are very effective against units in any kind of cover, but especially anything in a building. You see he's got his Chaos Heretics back to chanting. We'll see. I think he's going to get away. He's got 30 health, and there is a huge reduction to damage at range. So you have some more action going on up top. Looks like the Howling Banshees are back. Howling Banshees are a great squad for trying to tie up any of these ranged Guardsman squad. Guardsmen are weak to begin with, and those Banshees definitely going to do a ton of damage to them in melee. So the one thing that the Commissar Lord can do is he could either choose to try to fight these Banshees off, or he could have gone for the Guardian squad. I may have recommended going for the Guardian squad simply because either way these Banshees were going to be able to attack the Guardsmen, and if he had gone for the Guardian squad he could have killed a few of them off. You see we have a bit of a blob moving in. They're going to be taking down this power node, and as you can see right now, the placement, this arc, is just not quite going to hit any of these enemy units. Unfortunately, it looks like these turrets have even been flanked by the Sentinel, just decapping this point. Although the Chaos Space Marines, even though this is technically a vehicle, it doesn't have the vehicle class armor, so it will take full damage from those Chaos Space Marines even at range. And this is definitely an exciting game so far. We have a whole lot going on all over the map, which is very common in a 3 vs 3. The whole map does get used up, and good choice to run those scouts. They were definitely getting low on life, and yeah, I may have, if I was going to run them a little bit earlier, but you did only lose the one model. And back in the middle, we get another little fight going on. Looks like the Warlock's backing away. And this heavy weapon squad does have this area locked down pretty well. And I'm not quite sure what the goal is here. You definitely need to either be trying to split these forces or move them. The Apothecary does give that healing aura you see, all those little green boxes around them. Just mean they're regenerating their life at a faster rate. The Commissar Lord did get into melee, which is going to stop that heavy weapon squad from being able to fight them. Got more stuff going on over here. A Sentinel's back, helping out in the fight. Basically just trying to harass down that Commissar Lord, get him a little bit lower on health. You see we have, once again, the Banshees coming in. They're heading right towards that power node. They did use their Howling, but it did, already have the attack Marines in retreat, so wasn't able to actually suppress them. Still, he forced their retreat and is probably going to be able to take down a generator or two, unless some reinforcements can get here pretty quick. So it looks like the Chaos got his Heretics in. See, the Heretics are definitely weak units, and they wouldn't normally be able to fight off Banshees in melee, but with that explosion ability, which basically actually has them sacrifice one of their unit models to do damage and suppress. As you see, he uses that again. It does a good amount of damage and can allow them to become an effective unit. Looks like we have some more going on. The Chimera's now harassing the power generators, and has unfortunately killed the Chaos Lord of our bottom player. And it looks like we have another fight going on here. Pretty intelligently, the Apothecary did go for the Master Crafter upgrade. Basically, that's going to allow him to stay out of melee combat, where the Apothecary can be strong and when there's lower units numbers, but definitely in team games, he's got low enough life that you want to be careful about ever throwing him in melee. And it does look like, unfortunately, the Assault Squad did get suppressed, but they are able to use their jump packs, jump right back in, and get in that heavy weapon squad. So, you see also the Lord Generals continue to just try to harass at range. That grenade launcher does do a very good amount of damage, and it's definitely going to be dangerous for Space Marine player. Oop, he did get another heal off, it looks like. So those Assault Squads back up to about full health. You see we have some more fighting going on down bottom. Once again, just trying to harass that energy. Chimera continues to just, really be able to run wherever it wants on the map. We don't really have AV from any of our bottom players. Oop, I spoke a little too soon. Looks like we get out our Blood Crusher. Blood Crusher is a really good unit early because it's so fast. It does pull the enemy troops into melee, which a lot of the early AV abilities are going to be at range, and its speed does allow it to even try to chase down some of the other vehicles in the game. See, we do have some Chaos Space Marines fighting up top here. They're definitely getting that Sentinel low on health, but it looks like it's getting away. And you see the Blood Crusher is taking very little damage, almost no damage from the Chimera. And where it does actually regen, it's technically a vehicle, but it's one of the few vehicle class units that will actually regen its own health. You see that there's a Chimera from our bottom Imperial Guard player, and ooh, that's a nasty ability. So basically what just happens, the Warlock uses his Warp Throw to pull the enemy units into the range of his Shuriken Cannon, and that's another suppression squad. You see that That Warlock is a very powerful unit on its own, but his other troops were forced to back off, so it looks like we have pretty much the entire army in retreat. And then just looking at victory points, which we haven't really gotten to this game, we see that right now the red team does have 2, so they are slowly draining our bottom team's victory points. But you gotta be careful here. This is several grenade blasts that go off when you summon in your Artok. And that's a really good, pretty much the second hero for the Eldar player. Similar to like the Librarian for the Space Marines. Very, very powerful, moves fast, has its own ability, its own war gear. And we'll see up top here we have Ogryn Squad. They're very effective in melee. Even though they carry these big, huge guns, they really just like to smack things with them. And you'll see there they go, smacking everything in sight. The only problem right now is they are a little overextended. There's definitely a lot of units models just being able to shoot at them, and they really only have this one small guardsman. See, he had a couple lag spikes. So they may be able to. They take down. They've pretty much just paid for themselves. They managed to take down that blood crusher, which is a pretty big blow. But unfortunately, if this Imperial player loses all of his Ogryns, it's going to be an even bigger loss of resources. Looks like we have another fight going on down here, and this is definitely a common thing you start to see later in the game. You just see that Artok fighting with the Howling Banshees, runs into melee with everything it can, and just does so much damage so quickly that even if you try to retreat the units, you'll have a few losses. And you see the Chaos Lord was attempting to try to hit some of these units with his ability, but which is, yes, let the galaxy burn. And unfortunately, he did miss with that ability. So at this point, it's not a complete waste, but and the Chaos Lord did come in, starts trying to fight some of the Banshees. See, the Artok is getting away with, more than half health, so it's quite fine. And the Banshees have only lost 1 unit model, and most likely will stay that. Oh, they are getting intercepted by a few more units. So. And still, there goes another unit model. So they got suppressed smartly. The Space Marine player throws his assault spawns in, allowing him to prevent that shuriken weapon from doing any more. And this is our Librarian. Like I was saying, very similar to that Artok. He's the Space Marines version of that single unit, almost like a secondary hero. Has AoE abilities, he can push enemy units back, has some defensive abilities and buffs for his allies. It's an all-around really good unit to have. And we do have a Leman